She lived with the dead for 4 years. Now, the silence screams. In the quiet village of Great Baddow, Essex, a respectable home sat untouched for years. To neighbors, it seemed like an ordinary house occupied by an elderly couple who had simply moved away or fallen out of touch. But inside that home, a horrific secret was rotting behind locked doors, 2 corpses hidden in plain sight, and their daughter, Virginia McCullough, living among them. What would drive someone to not only murder both parents, but live with their decaying bodies for 4 long years? When Essex police finally broke into the McCullough residence in September 2023, they weren't prepared for what they found. A makeshift tomb built from breeze blocks in the downstairs study, and a second body folded inside a wardrobe, both concealed by blankets and silence. But the most disturbing detail: Virginia didn't run. She looked the officers in the eye and said, "I did know that this day would come eventually. I deserve to get what's coming." The unraveling of the McCullough mystery began not with a crime scene, but with a missed doctor's appointment. In September 2023, John McCullough's general practitioner grew concerned. John hadn't picked up his medication for weeks. Virginia had canceled multiple appointments and claimed her parents were away traveling. But something didn't feel right. A referral was made to Essex County Council. Police were brought in for a welfare check. On September 15, they entered the home and uncovered one of the most grotesque domestic murder cases in modern British history. The forensic findings were chilling. John McCullough was found entombed in a fake mausoleum, wrapped in a sleeping bag, sealed in plastic, and surrounded by cement blocks. Blankets and artwork were layered over the tomb to mask the odor. Upstairs, Lois McCullough's body had been crammed into a wardrobe, also wrapped in a sleeping bag. Autopsies confirmed that John had been poisoned with crushed prescription drugs mixed into alcohol. But Lois had survived the initial poisoning. The next morning, Virginia bludgeoned and stabbed her mother to death while she lay in bed listening to the radio. She later described the brutal act to police as someone badly playing the xylophone. The weapons, a hammer and a knife, still bore traces of blood. John and Lois were in their 70s, frail, dependent, and trusting. John was a retired university lecturer. Lois battled agoraphobia and mental illness. Virginia, their youngest daughter, lived with them rent-free, pretending to study art. In reality, she had racked up £60,000 in debt using their names. She forged letters, lied about scams, and manipulated her parents into believing they were financially ruined. After their murders, she didn't just hide the bodies, she exploited them. Virginia impersonated her parents, sent text messages to family, mailed birthday cards, and withdrew pensions. She gambled over £21,000 online and sold their possessions, profiting by nearly £150,000. And the COVID-19 pandemic. It became the perfect smokescreen. With fewer in-person visits and minimal oversight, her deception continued, unchecked. When police entered the house, Virginia was calm. She confessed almost immediately and even directed officers to the weapons. "Cheer up," she said. "At least you caught the bad guy." She admitted she'd been planning the murder since March 2019. She gathered pills, bought a knife, and executed her plan in June. After the murders, she casually went to a general practitioner to treat a wound she got while stabbing her mother. Then she went shopping with her father's credit card. Virginia McCullough was charged with 2 counts of murder. Delays followed as psychiatric evaluations were ordered. She was diagnosed with paranoia and autism. But in July 2024, she pleaded guilty to both murders. At sentencing, Justice Johnson said, "You robbed your parents of dignity and death, a gross violation of the trust that should exist between parents and their children." Virginia was sentenced to life in prison, with a minimum term of 36 years. She will not be eligible for parole until 2059. This case is more than a double murder. It's a study in sustained manipulation, financial fraud, and a complete lack of remorse. Virginia's siblings rejected her claims of abuse, calling them lies. They described her as a compulsive liar with no empathy for anyone, not even their dying parents. The McCullough case reveals cracks in the systems meant to protect the elderly. For 4 years, silence allowed a killer to live undisturbed. How many more homes like the McCulloughs remain sealed in secrets? This case forces us to ask, how long must a silence stretch before someone listens? Let the story of John and Lois McCullough serve as a grim reminder. Behind every unanswered call, every missed appointment, every excuse, may lie a truth too dark to ignore. This was the unsolved mystery that haunts Virginia McCullough. Share this story. Speak up for the silent. Because some secrets fester in silence, and the cost can be deadly.